Good old PS. Good old PS4. We meet again. You know what's funny? I haven't reviewed a game for this system since June of 2015. The game that piqued my interest at that time was The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, and honestly, I'm not sure if that counts as a PlayStation game considering that it was made by an indie developer. Since then, though, I haven't even touched my PlayStation 4. Now, mind you, a lot of that had to do with my deployment hiatus, but I also just couldn't help but to notice that it's been almost 2 years since I've played a game for this system. So you know what? Let's whip this bad boy out and review one of the most critically acclaimed titles of 2016. Okay, here we go. It's only a little dusty, it's fine. Holy shit!
You're here for a game review, and honest biggums will tell you
2016. How true that is remains to be seen, but I can already tell you that I'm very familiar with the Uncharted series. I've played all the games in the lineup from Uncharted 1 to Uncharted 3. Personally, I loved every single one of these games. The development team behind these beauties is Naughty Dog. Old school gamers like myself remember them as the team responsible for the old Crash Bandicoot trilogy. These games are amazing, and I cannot wait for the remaster that's coming out later. They look amazing with updated graphics, and it looks like they're even improving the control. For you late 90s gamers, you probably remember Naughty Dog for the Jak and Daxter games. I honestly didn't play either of these games, but that's also because I didn't own a PS2. I was strictly on the GameCube during that generation of consoles, and it wasn't until about a year before the release of the PS3 and Xbox 360 that I got my hands on my own PS2. But guess what? The only reason I got it was so I could play my old PS1 games I had laying around, that and so I could play Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. So yeah, I don't have any experience with the PS2 per se, but I won't argue that it had some pretty awesome titles. Sonic Heroes. Mention this ahead of time. This game plays exactly like Tomb Raider, so if you've played it, well then you've played Uncharted. They both are obviously different games in their own right, but I wanted to go and put that out there now. Yeah, Uncharted kind of lacks in the originality department, but hey, it wouldn't get so much praise if it wasn't good, right? So why does this franchise get so much praise? Well, that's what we're here to find out, folks, and as always, we're going to start with the plot. But before I get into this, guys, I'm forewarning you now, I am spoiling this story. That's how I do business here on my channel. If you don't want it ruined for you, please skip ahead to this part of the video now, or just come back when you've already completed the game for yourself. Years before the events of Uncharted 1, brothers Nate and Samuel Drake, along with their companion Rafe Alder, are hunting for the treasure from the infamous pirate known as Henry Avery. Avery had plundered over $400 million in a heist back in 1695. They infiltrate a Panamanian jail to access a cell once held by Avery's first mate Burns, where Nate discovers a hollow St. Dismas idol. During their escape, Sam is seemingly killed by the pursuing guards, causing Nate to abandon. Completing the test reveals a map highlighted in Kings Bay, Madagascar. They are then confronted by Nadine, but one of her men triggers a trap causing the temple to collapse while the Drakes escape. In Kings Bay, the Drakes and Sully learn that Avery, Thomas Toe, and 10 other pirates had pooled their treasure together. Directed by clues to a tower in the city, Nate navigates its test to uncover a hidden map to Libertalia, a fabled pirate utopia founded by Avery and the other captains. The group return to the hotel to find Elena waiting.
Will you cut that out?
Upset at Nate's deception and the appearance of his brother, whom Nate had never mentioned before, Elena leaves. Nate refuses to abandon the quest to follow her and sends Sully instead. The Drakes sail to the island on the map, navigating through elaborate pirate-built structures and overcoming shoreline forces to discover a hidden city of Libertalia. They find evidence of a civil war between the colonists and the founders, who stole the treasure for themselves and moved it across the island to New Devon, an extravagant town where the founded into chaos, paranoia, and greed over the treasure. Toe and Avery poisoned the other founders and they took the treasure for themselves. Avery then betrayed Toe, pitting them against each other. Drake and Elena follow a secret passage in Avery's house used to transport the treasure to his ship. Fending off mercenary forces, the group rescues Sam and convinces him to escape with them in Sully's waiting plane. However, he and Nate are separated from Elena and Sully. Sam decides to pursue the treasure while Nate gives chase to stop him. Following Sam's trail, Nate finds Avery's ship in a cavern. Having already collected a large amount of treasure, Nadine refuses to risk any more of Avery's traps, but Rafe coaxes her into giving more assistance to collect it all. Aboard the ship, Sam triggers a trap, setting it on fire and trapping him underneath debris. Nate confronts Rafe and Nadine, who betrays Rafe and leaves. Rafe, who had been handed everything in his life, challenges Nate to a duel, wanting to prove himself better than the man who built the legend as an adventurer. Nate eventually wins the duel and frees Sam, and then the pair returns to Sully's plane where the entire group escapes. Sam and Sully team up for a new and expertly voice acted. They're fun, they're relatable, and they all really show you how high the stakes are in this game. Needless to say, ladies and gentlemen, I really enjoyed this story, and to me, it's the best one in the series. But now, let's go over the game itself. You assume control of Nathan Drake, and the name of the game is Climb, Shoot, Climb Again, Solve Puzzles, and Climb Some More. For a majority of the game, you're playing as Nathan, but there are a couple instances where you control as his younger self, his brother, and his daughter at the end. With the exception of Cassie, all the characters in the game control the same. For the most part, the game is completely linear, but there are some areas where you can stray off the beaten path to find collectibles. More on those later. Some people would say that this game can be repetitive. Well, they're not 100% wrong. The game can be a little repetitive, but it's really not that bad. Though some of the platforming gimmicks can be a little overdone, like sliding on your ass across gravel or Spider-Manning your way to the other side of a cliff, there are different aspects of the game that arise in just about every chapter, like scuba diving, a weapon that you really like, but you're gonna have to give it up because you ran out of ammo for it. Truth be told, it's really not that big of a deal. All the weapons are more than capable of taking down your enemies, but there are a few that can take them out rather quickly. Since ammo is very limited for those weapons, don't be surprised if you're trying to get nothing but headshots just so you can advance the plot. To save ammo, you could always just punch your way through the bad guys, but if you're surrounded, then that's probably the last thing you want to do. That goes for real life too, by the way. Another method you could do to save ammo is utilize stealth. The game gives you plenty of opportunities to either silently take down the bad guys or sneak by them altogether. Much like in Metal Gear Solid, if you silently take down an enemy and another person sees the body, they'll be more alert to their surroundings. Sounds cool, right? Well, guess what? It's not very well executed in this game. The enemies only stay alert for about 5 seconds and they return to their normal routine. Even if they think they see you, they don't bother to investigate the area. They just go like, "Hey, I know I saw something. Meh, must just be me." I would consider that a mouse controller is the same as the X button on a PlayStation 1. Well, you get the point. If you're a PlayStation only kind of person, then you have nothing to worry about. The game controls beautifully. When you control as Nathan, you feel like Nathan. That's an example of control done right. Anytime I play one of these games, I just want to go climb stuff for no reason at all. Is that weird? Anyway, the graphics are outstanding. This game is completely rendered in 60 frames per second and it just looks beautiful. There were so many points where I just wanted to stand there and admire the scenery. So much attention to detail is put in the aesthetics and I can't get enough of it. And what I find to be so cool about this game is the transition from gameplay to real-time cutscenes. It's instantaneous. The immersion is never broken due to a load screen. The music, however, is forgettable. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's bad or anything. In fact, it's really good, and it goes well with the game's design. The thing is, though, the soundtrack isn't something I would want to buy, honestly. I mean, listen to the music, killing people and finding treasure. You use this money to purchase a power weapon or reduce the cooldown time for your grenades. Yeah, the grenades have a cooldown for some reason. To be perfectly honest, guys, I really wasn't a big fan of the multiplayer here. Probably because I didn't have a friend to play with. Crypto! I said a few minutes ago that the collectibles really don't do a whole lot for you here in the campaign, and that's not 100% accurate. On your first playthrough, it doesn't do diddly for you. But if you play multiple times, you can unlock new skins for your characters as well as new modes to make the game a little bit more interesting. So if you are the completionist type, then you should have no issue playing through the game again and seeing just what it is that you can unlock. All in all though, ladies and gentlemen, Uncharted 4 is a great time from beginning to end. If you're a fan of action-adventure games or puzzle games, then this game is right up your alley. With a great story, awesome gameplay, and outstanding graphics, this game is a masterpiece, and I absolutely recommend you to buy it. And that, folks, is my honest opinion. Now, if you aren't aware, 19 months later, and here we are. In case you guys aren't aware, I was requested to review this game right after my Shovel Knight review. It was requested initially by this guy, I'm sorry, dude. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, so I'm going to call you Vladimir. Vladimir requested for me to review Freedom Planet back in June of 2015, but unfortunately, that game at the time was a PC-only game, and, well, you guys know that I'm a Mac person, so because of that, I had to skip it for the time being. But nowadays, you can find it on the Wii U, and that's the system that I'm going to be using it for this review. So let's fire up the system and get started, shall we? Oh, come on, guys. You really want me to play through this? This game looks like it's meant for toddlers, for Christ's sake. Damn! That was awesome!
You're here for a game review, and honest biggums will tell you the truth. You're here for the inside scoop, and honest biggums will tell you.
For you. I want to go ahead and put this out there now. I'm really not big on indie games. I personally find them to be more of a gamble with your money. Yeah, I know there's some big hit titles out there that everyone loves, like FNAF or Minecraft, but I'm not the kind of person that's going to jump right on buying an indie game until I see the game for myself. Freedom Planet is a fast-paced 2D platforming game. Looking at these clips here, you can see that the developers had some inspiration. I think that's a good word for it. It highly resembles that of a Sonic game from the days of the old Sega Genesis. A lot of people like to give criticism that this is an outright clone of Sonic the Hedgehog, 3 in particular. Regardless of that fact though, I'm going to review the game as it is. So here's the question. Is this game any good, and is it something I can recommend to you? Let's find out. At first glance, you assume that the game is rather childish, whether it's the opening picture from the Wii U or just looking at the characters. However, when you play this game for yourself, you'll see that it really isn't designed specifically to children. I mean, hell, a guy gets his night. Torque tells Lilac, Carol, and Mila that he's an alien sent to apprehend an intergalactic warlord known as Brevin, whose spaceship wrecked on the planet. Brevin has invaded Shuigang, murdering its king, and brainwashed Dale to be his servant. This guy is essentially the Emperor from Star Wars. I could never get tired of that. He intends to steal the stone to power a ship so he can get off the planet. The protagonists decide to reclaim the stone from Zhao, but are delayed by Spade and by Brevin's assistant Serpentine. The delay gives Dale and Brevin's forces time to steal the relic. Afterwards, Zhao sends the protagonists as emissaries to Shang 2 to discuss an alliance against Shuigang. They are detained by the Magister upon their arrival, as Nira blames him for the stone's original disappearance. Torque is released from jail when Lilac falsely pleads guilty, and she, Carol, and Mila quickly escape from jail to reunite with Torque, only to see him get captured by Brevin and Serpentine. So, how did Torque get captured, and how did Lilac and the gang escape? I don't know. And apparently the game doesn't know either, because it's never once explained. Carol and Lilac have a bit of a deal. Mila awakens in a medical tent and sees the sky lit up by swirling crystalline energy released from the Kingdom's stone. The 3 kingdoms resolve to harness the stone's power and share equally, thereby bringing an end to the war. Torque says goodbye to Lilac, Carol, and Mila and returns to space. The game doesn't end with a cliffhanger or anything like that, but it does suggest a planned sequel. And according to the official Galaxy Trail website, there is a sequel currently in progress. But now it's time for me to be honest. I thought the story was stupid. The only characters that I actually enjoyed was Brevin because he's such a heartless prick for no reason, and Mila because she's so f***ing adorable, also for no reason. All of the other characters to me were just dumb. Lilac and Carol, the main protagonists, are just forgettable to me. Lilac is forgettable just because of her self-righteous and whiny attitude.
It's the final days of Black Friday at
Attitude, and Carol just because she's dumb and never has anything intelligent to say. One of my biggest complaints about this plot is just the fact that it doesn't seem to know what it wants to be. Does the fun. As I said, it's a fast-paced 2D platforming game. Your goal is to reach the end of the stage, and that's just the way I like it. There are multiple pathways you can choose from, leading you to some goodies like extra lives. You can tell that this game is definitely inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog, and if you go in with that mentality, then you may have trouble getting accustomed to the controls right away. You have the choice to control as either Lilac, Carol, or Mila. All these characters have similar controls, but each of them have their own little perks and abilities. Lilac is somehow a dragon, and she's known as the fastest character in the game. She has a normal ground attack, an aerial attack, and a boost attack. The aerial attack is also used as a double jump, and the boost can also be used as a means to travel to certain areas that other characters might not be able to reach. Carol is known as a wildcat in this game, and that makes a little bit more sense to me. She has quicker acceleration and faster attack speed, but her top speed doesn't compare to Lilac. Her attacks are also not as powerful as Lilac, but she dishes out the pain a lot faster. Her means of traveling fast is at the same time not being too slippery. Basically, when you control as them, you feel like them. And that's what I call control done right. There's about 14 stages in total, and they all have their own level-specific gimmicks. None of them look the same, and it requires loads of trial and error to complete. A big complaint I have is just how long these levels are. If you're good enough, you can complete these levels in just under 8 minutes, but some of these stages can last as long as 30 minutes, possibly longer if it's your first time playing. You guys should know by now that I can't stand that kind of design. Though the stages are long, they're still pretty fun. I just wish they were a little shorter, that's all. In all the levels, there's quite a few things for you to pick up. You have these blue shards that'll grant you an extra life when you collect enough, There's red leaves that'll give you health, multicolored orbs that'll give you bonus shards or life, and special orbs that you can use in the bonus rooms. You get to the bonus rooms by collecting the yin yang coins. The bonus rooms themselves grant you extra lives or shields that you can use in the next stage. And speaking of the shields, there's several types. All of them protect you from damage, but there's one that can allow you to breathe underwater, protect you